Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be exploring this whole concept of ministering.
Okay.
And to do that, we'll be looking at a talk given by Jean B. Bingham.
Okay.
She was the Relief Society General President for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints
Right.
back in April 2018.
Gotcha.
And for anyone listening who's maybe not familiar with the Relief Society,
Right.
it's basically a worldwide organization for women within the church.
Yeah.
And it focuses on service and faith and personal development.
I see.
But here's the really interesting part of all of this.
Okay.
Bingham's message, it actually goes way beyond just a religious context.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of uncover how her insights about ministering can apply to anyone's life,
Okay.
no matter what background you come from,
Right.
and use them to make a real positive impact.
I like it.
And I think one of the cool things that we'll discover is how these seemingly tiny actions can actually create huge positive change.
Yeah.
Especially when we get younger generations involved.
It's really fascinating how she brings together all these different ideas, like, religious principles and everyday kindness, and how youth can play a part in that.
Yeah.
It all comes back to this core human need for connection and making a difference, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive right in.
Okay.
What does ministering actually even mean?
Right.
Well, Bingham's core message is about becoming more like Jesus Christ by serving others.
Yeah.
So she's talking about expressing love for God, but also for the people around us.
I see.
But what I find super intriguing is how she kind of debunks this myth that you need these big dramatic gestures to truly serve.
Right.
Yeah.
She makes it clear it's often those simple, everyday acts that have the most impact.
Yes.
Just noticing those small needs and responding genuinely.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it resonates with so many ideas outside of religion, too.
Absolutely.
Like just kindness and empathy and being involved in your community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like when you offer a hand to a neighbor or just listen to a friend.
Right.
You're actually strengthening the community.
Yeah.
Building a more caring place.
It's like weaving a tapestry.
Ooh, I like that.
Like thread by thread,
Yeah.
each act adds to the beauty and strength of the whole thing.
Yeah, and Bingham has some great examples of what this looks like in real life.
Yeah, one that really stuck with me was about a Relief Society sister helping a new mom in town.
Okay.
The mom was feeling overwhelmed, totally isolated with a new baby. No support system.
Oh, no.
And you know what this ministering sister did?
What?
She didn't come up with some huge plan.
Okay.
She did something so simple.
All right.
She took the mom and baby to the grocery store.
Wow.
Such a small gesture.
Yeah.
But for that mom, it was everything.
Right.
Just being there, offering practical help.
It can make all the difference.
It really shows how meeting a basic need can be huge.
Yeah, for sure.
There's another story that's really powerful
Okay.
about an older sister in Africa ministering to a woman who had stopped coming to church.
Okay.
It turned out this woman had been robbed and beaten,
Oh, my gosh.
and she was struggling to even feed herself.
Wow.
And she felt too ashamed of how she looked to go to church.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
So what did the ministering sister do?
Well, instead of judging
Yeah.
or saying empty words, this sister, she responded with real support.
How?
She brought food from her own garden,
Wow.
shared scriptures for comfort,
That's amazing.
and most importantly, offered real friendship.
That's so powerful.
And that consistent care and connection brought the woman back to church.
That's incredible.
Which shows how one person's kindness can have a ripple effect.
It's like a chain reaction of goodness.
Totally.
No?
And those ripples go beyond the person we're helping.
Yeah.
They inspire others to act with compassion, too.
It builds a culture of caring in a community.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
And Bingham takes it a step further.
Okay.
She emphasizes that real ministering comes from love, not obligation.
All right, not just checking boxes.
It's not about a checklist.
Yeah.
So how do we move past just going through the motions
Right.
and really tap into that genuine desire to serve? Well, Bingham suggests we ask, what does this person actually need?
I see.
And let empathy guide us.
I love that.
It might mean stepping outside our comfort zones,
Yeah.
being vulnerable, really seeing the people around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This applies to everyone, whether they're religious or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being present in our relationships, noticing what others are going through,
Right.
and responding authentically.
Which can be a challenge.
It is.
It requires being present,
Yeah.
listening carefully, seeing through someone else's eyes.
That's not always easy.
It's not.
But the potential is huge.
It is.
And speaking of potential, Bingham highlights something really interesting about ministering.
Okay.
The inclusion of young people.
This is where it gets super interesting.
Right.
She points out the unique gifts that young people bring to serving and how those experiences can be great for mentorship.
Yeah.
Like, she shares this story about a 14-year-old girl
Okay.
welcoming a new family to the neighborhood. Just a simple plate of cookies.
Nice.
But think about the impact.
Yeah.
For that family, it's this expression of welcome.
Right.
They're not alone.
Exactly.
Those small acts from someone so young can really make a difference.
Yeah, they can.
And there's another story about a 16-year-old girl who befriended a lonely widow in her community.
It shows the power of connections across generations. Young people bring fresh perspectives,
Yes.
energy, willingness to connect across ages.
It really challenges us to create more space for young people to serve.
For sure.
And to build community.
It's recognizing that everyone has something to offer.
Exactly.
No matter their age.
So it takes intention to create those opportunities for young people to get involved and make a difference.
Absolutely.
And the benefits are huge.
They are.
We're supporting those in need. But also nurturing empathy and compassion and purpose in the next generation.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Totally.
Yeah.
So ultimately, Bingham concludes that true ministering changes lives, both for the giver and the receiver.
It creates unity,
Yeah.
fosters belonging,
Eat that.
and moves us towards a community of love and harmony.
It all comes back to that need for connection, feeling part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
Whether or not we follow a certain faith, we all crave that sense of belonging.
We do.
And ministering, when it's done with love and compassion, creates exactly that.
It does.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what stands out to you most so far?
What's fascinating is how Bingham connects religious principles with these universal human experiences. It all points to this truth that we thrive when we're connected to each other.
Yeah.
And we all have the power to make a positive impact.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even small acts of love and service can have a huge impact. And before we move on, I want you to think about this.
Right.
What's one small act of service or kindness you could commit to this week?
I like that.
Inspired by what we've talked about. Just something to ponder.
Okay.
Remember, even the smallest efforts can create a ripple effect that benefits everyone.
For sure.
In our next segment, we'll explore how ministering can be transformative, not just for others, but for ourselves as well.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive on ministering.
Thanks.
We've been exploring this idea of really serving others.
Right.
Inspired by Gene B. Bingham's talk. And now I want to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about these ripple effects that come from ministering,
Okay.
both for people and communities.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really inspiring about her message is how she connects personal acts of service with this larger goal of creating a more harmonious society.
Yes.
She uses this phrase, Zion people, to describe this ideal community where everyone feels supported and valued and united.
Now, that phrase might be unfamiliar to some listeners. So can you break that down a bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it mean and how does it connect to ministering?
So basically, it's about creating a society that really lives out the principles of ministering that we've been talking about.
Okay.
A place where people genuinely care for each other and where kindness is just the norm.
Yeah.
And differences are celebrated instead of dividing us.
So it's not just individual.
Right. That affects everything.
That's so powerful.
It's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
One act of kindness leads to another, and it spreads throughout the community.
It changes how people treat each other.
Exactly.
This reminds me of a story Bingham shares about a ward that came together to help a family who were dealing with a really serious health crisis.
Oh, wow.
The mother had been diagnosed with cancer, and the ward members just surrounded them with love and support.
It's amazing how everyone can contribute in their own way.
Isn't it?
Like pooling their resources and talents.
The Relief Society sisters, they organized meals, and they drove her to her appointments.
That's so helpful.
And the men's group, they remodeled a bathroom.
Wow.
To make it easier to care for her.
And the young people helped too, right?
Yes.
I remember that part.
The young men assisted with the construction, And the young women walk the family dog every day.
Imagine the relief that gave them.
It's just a beautiful example of how people can band together
Yeah.
and support each other through tough times.
It wasn't just a one-time thing either.
No.
They kept ministering.
They did.
Even after she passed away.
They did. And that, to me, is what real ministering is all about.
Yeah.
That consistent, genuine care that goes way beyond just meeting immediate needs.
It's being there through thick and thin.
It is.
Letting them know they're not alone.
It really shows the power of community. It does.
Knowing you have people who care
Mm-hmm.
makes all the difference.
We all need that feeling of belonging,
We do.
that connection.
And it reminds us we all have a part to play
Yeah,
in creating that kind of supportive environment.
absolutely.
And Bingham emphasizes this point,
Okay.
that true ministering changes everyone involved,
Right.
not just the person receiving the help,
Not just the recipient.
but the giver too.
That's something we often forget.
We do.
We focus on the person being helped.
Yeah.
But we need to recognize the impact on the giver.
It's transformative.
Absolutely.
So how does ministering change the giver?
Well, when you're serving others,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting yourself in their shoes,
Right.
trying to understand their needs, offering support.
Yeah.
And that builds empathy and compassion.
I see.
You start to see the world differently.
You do.
Your heart opens up to others' experiences.
It's like that saying,
What's that?
I get what you give.
Oh, yeah.
When you pour love and service out into the world.
It comes back to you in ways you never expect.
I love how Bingham puts it.
Okay.
She says, when our hearts are open and willing to love and include, encourage, and comfort, the power of our ministering will be irresistible.
It's so powerful.
It is.
It suggests that when we act with love and compassion,
Yeah.
we tap into something that can break down barriers, heal wounds,
Right.
create lasting positive change in ourselves
Yes.
and the world.
And the beautiful thing is
Yeah.
that power to make a difference is available to everyone.
It is.
It doesn't matter your background or beliefs,
Right.
whether you call it ministering or just being a good human.
Exactly.
The principle is the same.
It's about kindness and service,
Yes.
motivated by love.
It's a message that resonates with everyone.
It does.
It's about our shared humanity, recognizing that we're all connected.
Yes.
What affects one of us affects us all.
And Bingham ends this section with a powerful statement.
What's that?
She says the result will be a unity of feeling, such as the people in ancient America enjoyed
Right.
100 years after the Savior's appearance in their land.
So she's referencing the Book of Mormon,
Right.
talking about this time of peace and harmony.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful image
It is.
of what's possible when a community embraces these principles.
It really makes you think,
Yeah.
what kind of world could we create
Right.
if we all lived with that same level of unity and compassion?
It's a beautiful vision.
And it reminds us that even with all the challenges,
Yeah,
there's always hope for a better world.
for sure.
A world built on kindness and service and connection.
I love that.
So now I think it's time to get practical.
Okay.
In our final segment, we'll explore some ways to bring ministering into our everyday lives.
Sounds good.
I'm sure a lot of listeners are wondering, this
Mhm.
all sounds great,
Yeah.
but how do we actually do it?
Right.
Where do we even begin? Welcome back to our deep dive on ministering.
Thanks for having me back.
We've really covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
From understanding what ministering even is to its impact on people and communities.
Right.
But now let's get practical.
Okay.
How do we actually bring these principles into our lives?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
Easy to feel inspired, but then
Exactly.
where do you start?
Well, Bingham offers some really helpful guidance here.
Okay, good.
And she keeps coming back to this idea
Yeah.
that it's not about big gestures or elaborate plans.
Right.
It's the small, consistent thing.
It's the everyday stuff.
Yeah, that we just weave into our lives.
And that's what makes it doable.
It does.
Anyone can do this,
Right.
no matter your resources or time or background.
It's those everyday choices to show up for others.
Yeah, and she talks about starting with a simple question.
Okay.
What does this person need?
I like that.
And letting that guide your actions.
It's such a shift in perspective.
It is.
It's not about what we think is best or what's easiest for us.
It's about really understanding them,
Yes.
their needs,
And it means paying attention,
being present,
really listening,
looking deeper.
seeing the world through their eyes,
Exactly.
and then responding authentically
Yeah.
in a way that's meaningful to them.
And Bingham gives us some great examples.
Okay, like what?
It could be a simple text,
Oh, yeah.
just to let someone know you're thinking of them.
That's nice.
Or inviting them to something to help them feel more connected.
Right, like a group activity.
Or even just a genuine welcome when you see them.
Yeah, just acknowledging them.
Those little things communicate so much.
They do.
You're seen, you're valued, you're not alone.
Especially for someone feeling isolated.
Exactly.
It can make a world of difference.
And she encourages us to be mindful of certain groups who might need extra support.
Like who?
Single parents.
Yeah, they have a lot on their plate.
New people in town.
Might not know anyone.
People going through tough times.
Right.
Anyone feeling isolated. So being intentional about reaching out to them.
Looking for ways to include them.
Yeah, and sometimes that means pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones.
Taking initiative.
Even if it feels awkward.
You never know what impact it might have.
That's true.
And something I love is how Bingham emphasizes involving young people.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just for adults.
Right.
It's about empowering the next generation.
To build a caring community.
Remember that story about the girl with the cookies?
I do.
Such a simple act.
Yeah, but so meaningful.
And the girl who befriended the widow.
It shows the power of connecting across generations.
It does.
Young people bring so much to the table.
They do.
Their energy, their perspective.
Their kindness.
And it's up to us adults to give them those opportunities.
To create space for them to serve. So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
That ministering isn't a program or a to-do list.
It's more than that.
It's a way of life.
I love that.
It's about choosing love and compassion and service.
In every interaction.
Big or small.
It's about making kindness a habit.
Yeah, looking for those opportunities.
And remembering those small things can make a huge difference.
They really can.
Well said.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into ministering.
It's been great.
We hope you've been inspired.
Me too.
To bring more love and kindness into the world.
That's what it's all about.